Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Just Open It, the YouTube series in which I open some of my recently acquired toys. My name is Russ. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. If you're a fan of toy collecting or action figures or pop culture in general, please consider subscribing to my channel here, Karaoke Fanboy TV. Every Monday I hope to post a new video in which I open a recently acquired action figure or toy. Today I've broken my own rule. When McFarlane Toys acquired the DC license and started releasing the DC Multiverse line of action figures, I told myself I would only pick up the action figures that captured the look or feel of DC's animated universes, whether it's the Bruce Timm style of Batman the Animated Series right up to Justice League Unlimited, whether it's the Cartoon Network Teen Titans show. I even picked up the Harley Quinn inspired by her own animated series because I liked the look and feel of that figure. I told myself, for the sake of my own wallet and space in my apartment, those are the only McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse action figures that I would buy. But I've broken my own rule, like I said, and to celebrate that, I'm wearing this Batman t-shirt because I've recently acquired all 4 Dark Knight Returns action figures released through the DC Multiverse by McFarlane Toys. The Dark Knight Returns is my all-time favorite comic book story. It's not just my favorite Batman story, it's not just my favorite superhero story, but I really believe that Frank Miller and Klaus Janson did something seminal and special with The Dark Knight Returns. And history seems to prove me right, as there have been many adaptations of The Dark Knight Returns, whether it's in the many ways it's been collected as a graphic novel, whether it's been as an animated movie, 2-part animated movie, in fact, and of course, various action figures, statues, and merchandise over the years, really none of which I've acquired. So that's why I kind of caved in with these 4 figures. I especially liked the Build-A-Figure feature that they have. So I'm going to be opening these figures here on Just Open It in order of the horse's anatomy that's included with these figures. That's right, in the 4th installment of The Dark Knight Returns, Batman rides a horse. And if you pick up all 4 of these figures from McFarlane Toys, you can build that horse. And so in the 5th episode of this Dark Knight Returns kind of series within my series, I will be building this horse and straddling Batman upon it to see how cool they fit together. So I'm going to start with the Joker. I guess you can call this Mafia's Revenge Joker, because he comes with a horse head. This is Mafia's Revenge Joker. If you just get this figure and you just have a horse head, you could still kind of play with the figure and that Joker's pulling a prank on somebody, putting a horse head in their bed or something like that, right? So I'm going to dive right in to opening this figure. It's very hefty and heavy. You know, these guys, I visited multiple Targets and Walmarts to find all 4 of these figures. I found Superman and Joker first and together at a Target. Then a few Targets later, I found Batman, and ultimately I found Robin at a Walmart, where they had a beautiful Batman display, not near the toy section, but near the entertainment section, where Walmart's been featuring some of the NECA toys, and more adult-oriented collectibles, adult meaning grown-up people with money like me that are willing to shell out $25 to $35 for an action figure alone. So there was a Batman display with the Batman movie figures and these figures and some other things, like Dark Knight's metal and whatnot. General Batman themed toys, mostly by McFarlane Toys in that display. So I had to kind of walk around the store a little bit to find ultimately where the Robin was on display and available, and to complete the 4-piece set here. So just a heads up, if you're out and about looking for these toys, don't stop at the action figure aisle. Check out the entertainment section too, especially at Walmart, because there is a broader selection there. So I'm going to dive right in. A hefty package, a little wider than your average McFarlane toy, which is why these guys were kind of easier to find as well on the pegs. They stood out from some of the other figures. And I am diving right in here. I have no care for the package. That's kind of the point of this series. Just Open It is me just opening these toys so I can display them on my shelf. And there really isn't much design to the back of the box. You know, there's some instruction as to how to assemble the horse. Here's a pretty cool picture of the Batman action figure I'll open soon, riding said assembled horse. And then just some very tiny, and in my opinion, so small, practically pointless pictures of the other toys, not just in this line, but also... oh no, it's just the 4 toys in this line. So the Joker's on the back of his own box, which McFarlane Toys doesn't usually do. Usually they use this space to cross-promote other lines of toys, but, you know, perhaps these were kind of self-inclusive and meant to be a mini-series, as I'm kind of treating them to be. I'm going to pull out the back here, only because it includes a stand, which for McFarlane figures I found I sometimes need. And these collector's cards, which I've decided just not to care about because they don't feature artwork from The Dark Knight Returns, as I think they should. They just feature a picture of the action figure I already have here. So I don't understand the point of those. They can get damaged easily as you're trying to remove them from the cardboard. As you can see, I gotta kind of do this to get the stand out. If I wanted to extract the card, there we go. I'm curious what it says on the back here. Once a small-time crook, the Joker fell into a vat of chemicals that turned his skin white, his hair green, and his lips red, like a crazed clown. His crimes always involve pranks and jokes, ending with twisted punchlines that are only funny to the Joker. He may look like he's clowning around, but this guy is bad news for Batman in Gotham City. Now, upon hearing that Batman has resurfaced after 10 years of retirement, the Joker awakes from a years-long stupor in Arkham Asylum, conscious and ready to take on the Dark Knight once again. So, a very almost campy description of the way we see Joker return in The Dark Knight Returns. Again, I guess I'm just kind of unimpressed. It's a cool staging and picture of the figure here, don't get me wrong, but I'm just generally unimpressed with this as an inclusion. Why not feature some Frank Miller art from The Dark Knight Returns? Why not give Frank Miller any kind of credit in any of this packaging, considering he inspired the look of this figure and offered such an important storyline to the mythology of Batman and comics in general. But let's move on to the extraction of the figure. Okay, I didn't see, because of the Joker's white suit, that there's an elastic band holding the Joker in place here. And as usual, I'm kind of unprepared. I don't have any blades or anything, so let me just see if I can pull it loose. There we go. Okay. So I'm holding, for the first time, the Joker from The Dark Knight Returns. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, I believe this is the suit Joker wears when he appears on the David Endocrine show, which is an obvious satire of the David Letterman show, which was popular at that time. And David Letterman, of course, one of my personal heroes and all-time best talk show hosts on my pantheon, or Mount Rushmore of talk show hosts. Just as an aside, my Mount Rushmore of talk show hosts would be Johnny Carson, David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, Craig Ferguson. So those are the 4 I consider to be the best of their business. But here he is standing without use of the stand, but also very stoically, not really in an action pose yet. Unfortunately, he does come with some accessories to make such an action pose possible. Here's a knife. This would be the knife I assume he uses to cut Batman in the Tunnel of Love. And there is another hand here that I'm going to guess will hold that knife. So I could have the Joker with this closed fist, which I do like. Or I could replace that hand with this hand. And I'm not going to do that if this hand holds the knife. So let's put that to the test. And I'm going to have him holding it blade down. Now, everything feels really soft and rubbery to me, which is kind of surprising for a McFarlane toy. The knife especially is just super, look at that. Look at how easy that is to just bend. And I wonder if that's to get it in the Joker's hand, because I'm not having the easiest time doing that right away. I'm not going to waste your time trying to do that for the whole video here, but I'm really kind of like jam it in there. Let me just try it in this other hand. Well, this other hand's like this, it's so open actually that it goes in there almost too easily. You can see it falling out there. So I'm gonna have to mess with this a little bit for the sake of display. But to explore his points of articulation a little bit, we have his head turning. Very cool. I guess that would be simulating the Joker snapping his own neck. Nothing at the waist, unfortunately, but the arm has some nice articulation here. The hands especially are very easy to move, almost too easy. To me, that's one of the downsides of all of these removable and replaceable hands in action figures lately, is I just feel like the hands, the wrists, are fragile now, because folks are, let me just, for example, I'm just pulling his hand off. It's just freaking me out even trying it. So, and then I would put this hand on like that, and okay, I mean, there it is. It just freaks me out that I'm going to break the peg and then make the figure, well, broken. Which I actually once did with an old Sandman action figure from Spider-Man. I don't remember what the line of action figures were, but they were of kind of this size and stature, and the Sandman was beautifully sculpted. He came with like an axe and a mace and probably a hand, and I broke a peg or something. I had to super glue an arm on, and so he had that arm for the rest of his life in my collection. I've since sold that line of action figures for the sake of space, but you know, even now as I'm trying to put this fist back on, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. So I'm you know, there must be some special way to do that, but if you could see this for a second, I don't know how well the camera will focus on this, but there's a space there. You could kind of see it in contrast with the figures in my background here. There's a space there where it looks like I could very easily break this peg right off. And I'm not fond of that construction. Only because I feel like I can and will break that peg off. There we go. Okay, it snapped back on, and I'm just going to leave that fist is there permanently, Joker. Sorry, pal. If you were hoping to grasp something later, but like some semblance of sanity, am I right? But here he is. Pretty simple. Legs. Oh, there's that McFarlane grinding that comes with whatever that gear or something is in there. I'm not crazy about that either, but you could hear that. So this is, again, my first ever opened Dark Knight Returns action figure, and considering how much I love this story, I read it once a year, if not twice a year, and there are times when I can quote it pretty regularly. Of course, here on the spot, trying to think of something that the Joker says specifically, I'm at a loss, but there he is in a nutshell. If you could see him there against my white Batman shirt, it's kind of a fun pose. That may be the pose he has on my shelf, actually. This hand may be like this, and he's kind of like being theatrical or whatever. So there he is, folks. The Joker from The Dark Knight Returns. Now, I think what I'll do is I'll wait to extract the horse parts until I get to that video. So I'm essentially opening the horse as well, right? And then I'll assemble him per the instructions on the back of these packages. So this is kind of a part one of a 4-part mini-series within my series featuring McFarlane Toys, McFarlane Toys Dark Knight Returns figures that I will just be opening here soon. Overall, I enjoy this figure very much. I like its look. I like its feel. It's very dense. It's hefty. Other than the hand replacement removal situation, I feel like everything's pretty stable. And if only that knife fit in his hand more easily, this guy would be ready for the shelf. But I'm having a hard time with that. Some of you guys might think, well, geez, just cram it in there for crying out loud. Well, I'm trying, folks. And I'm like really stretched. Like the knife, like the handle it's so rubbery. It's almost like, is this meant to be a gag knife or something from the Joker's collection? It might not make it to display. I'm having a hard time putting it in there, which makes it kind of pointless to me. So other than that, I am a fan of this figure, and I'm looking forward to opening the other 3. So tune in as I do so. I'm going to look at these figures. I'm going to hold them in my hand. I'm going to say, you know what? Just open it. And I'll catch you next time.